Now it should be better, right? Oh, it's too large. I have actually reset my sound. Thank you very much, Ian, for letting me know. Awesome. Now I guess the sound is okay now. Is it too much? Should be okay, right? Yeah, should be okay. Awesome. So I guess we can continue. Okay, awesome. Well, what I was saying, I hope you all had a really nice weekend and welcome to another. Oh, I have forgotten to change my background here. One moment. Oh, there you go. That's the proper background for a stream. Okay, so welcome to another stream, another week, another stream, right? Hope you had all a great weekend and hope you're ready for, well, the week. It's already Tuesday, so I guess, yeah, well, you have to be ready, right? I hope you like my combination of t-shirt plus poster, right? I try. So today, yeah, thank you very much. Yes, this is one of the first Commodore shirts I had. I have a bunch of them, so as you can see, I'm a fan. So what is going to be the talk of today? Today we're going to try to do something with AWS Amplify. Well, actually, Amplify console to be more specific, and the Hugo framework for building static websites. So it's going to be a bit of a, again, like always, a bit of an exploratory thing. We're going to be discussing why, how, and just going to go through the console and do some stuff together. Okay? So, have a sip of coffee. Kayon says, my dad had a Commodore in 83, seen it in the garage. I still have mine. So Commodore was my first computer. My dad bought it in 1991. Yeah, coming from a relatively poor country. A Commodore was my primary computer until the late 90s, actually the early 2000s. So yeah, it was the only thing I had. I don't have my C64 with me right here. I do have my Amiga, so I have an Amiga 500. But yeah, maybe one day I stream from my Amiga. But we'll see how that happens. Yeah, but they are a thing of wonder, I must say. All right, what are we gonna do? Enough looking at my big old face. Let's switch to the default thing here. Awesome. Ian on YouTube says my blog is built on Hugo and I have a theme published. Awesome, Ian. So maybe I'll show you how you can super easily use Hugo with Amplify on AWS. So I actually, my personal blog is running on Hugo on Amplify. It's not very much maintained, unfortunately. I keep on saying I'm gonna post stuff to my blog, but I just don't have the I guess my previous excuse was I don't have the time. Now I don't have the time, I just don't do it. But yeah, let's see what we can do today. So today, basically, we're gonna go over a few things, but we're gonna focus around building, having our Hugo blog post or blog website run on AWS Amplify console. So it actually should be this, because Amplify and Amplify console are kind of two different things, right? So most people, when they talk about Amplify, they talk about, oh, I have this, you can use this Amplify CLI to launch various AWS resources, through, like, you can create specific backend services such as DynamoDB tables, APIs, GraphQLs, Elasticsearch clusters, a whole lot of different things with Amplify. But Amplify console is the service that comes with it that can be used for a lot of great things. So, and I will be showing you how those things are actually being used and how can you actually use those things. So, but I just wanna before starting, just want to make sure that you understand that these kind of streams are made for people who are relatively new to AWS or new to cloud computing. So if I'm going to be saying something that's super obvious to you, just please bear with me. I want to make sure that I want to explain to people maybe who are new, who don't know things about, who don't know some things about the cloud and AWS, maybe, just try to make sense for them all. So the first thing I want to talk about, how do people host websites on the cloud, right? Let's say how do people host their websites on AWS, right? What are the options usually people do? Now, coming from a traditional background, I used to host websites on web servers, right? And actually my last stream was just about how do we build a web server. So you can actually go, let me just put my coffee down and open up my browser thingy here. Awesome. You can go to your AWS management console and let me move this mouse. You can go to EC2. You can create a virtual machine, install Linux, Windows on it, and run your website there. That's great, right? So that's a kind of a, if you are from the crowd that uses, dynamic web building languages like PHP, Node, and I don't know, any of those things, right? If you run your website in something that's dynamic, you potentially would use a web server to have somewhere to run your code on, right? You would launch an EC2 instance, and then off of that, you would run your website. That's pretty cool. That's pretty straightforward. A lot of people do that. To be fair, when I was starting, that was the only thing we did. Or you would do some dedicated hosting for this kind of thing. Now, there's another way to do it. You can also use, at AWS, you can use S3, right? So our simple storage service to basically create a bucket, calling it, I think I have a Darko thing. Do I have? I don't have it here, but if I would, like, for example, create a bucket, I'll say web Darko's website. I can do things here that I can basically create this bucket. Hopefully I have the limits. I do. There is the website, right? So I can enable, if I go to management properties, I can host a static website, right? So I can basically select this, put it an index.html file, and my bucket will serve my static website, which is amazing, right? Hello, Satyabat, hello. So in that sense, it's a very simple way to host a static website. You get HTTP, you don't get HTTPS. You can get HTTPS if you use something like CloudFront, like a content distribution network. But in this day and age, a lot of people will be just fine with this, right? If you use something that's relatively static, or you have an external generator for static files, like Hugo, you can use S3 static web hosting. That it should do the job, right? That's great, right? So and that works. As I said, it's perfectly viable. It does bring itself some problematics. Like, for example, if you write your own HTML and keep uploading it to S3, that just works, right? That works. You don't have any troubles with that. It should work without any problems. But if you want to do this in a team, you want to apply some, maybe test your application, or have a more automatic way to test your application code before pushing it to production. You want to build that pipeline, or you want to have a centralized code repository. It gets a bit more complex when you want to do that with S3 static web hosting on S3, right? But we'll get back to that. There's another way people host web applications. Now, I use the term host in this case very loosely, because people will be talking about serverless, right? And a lot of people have web applications that are fully serverless. So I'm not just talking about, the backend part of a web application. I'm talking like you can have a Lambda function that will return you an index HTML. That's also a possibility. So you can have a serverless static website, or a semi-static website, which is also great, right? So everybody keeps talking about that. And that's also a possibility that you want to do, right? But today, what we're going to look at this templating engine called Hugo. So Hugo is this. If you have ever used Markdown, the Markdown language, which is like a markup language, it basically, Hugo, you can write your web pages in Markdown, and Hugo will convert them to HTML. So it's a static website generator to an extent, right? It doesn't use any dynamic elements in it. It will basically you can use Hugo generate or Hugo serve, whatever, and Hugo will serve your current directory in HTML form, right? Or it will convert your Markdown files to HTML. It's pretty useful. I use Markdown very extensively. So I use Markdown in my day-to-day job. I write all of my notes in Markdown because I'm just used to the way they look. And you see more and more people using Markdown. If you're not using Markdown, check it out. It's very useful, right? In the long run. So how do we get started with Hugo, right? Well, as with anything, Hugo is a package, right? So if you would look for, if you look at Hugo, or you can just go Hugo, right? Because Hugo is written in Golang. So it's a framework basically for building websites. How do you get started with it? Where you click this big old quick start button, and depending on which platform you're running on it, I'm running on Mac, so I can just use brew install Hugo. Now this portion has nothing to do with AWS. I just love the tool and it's great. Okay, so it's updating Homebrew as it takes a while. Satya says stream is stuttering bad. Let me have a look. On my side, it seems good. Is anybody else facing issues with the stream? Yeah, let me know if you are. Looking at my own end, this seems pretty much fine. My bitrate seems okay. My internet seems to be working. So let's see if this happens more. Yeah. Okay. So Satya, if something's, maybe try restarting the stream. Maybe that helps. I don't know. Okay. So I've installed Hugo now. So I basically have Hugo version, or yeah, well, Hugo help, right? So I see that I have Hugo installed right now. Lucas says it was, but it's now getting a lot better. Okay, you know, in the current situation, the internet sometimes can be flaky. A lot of internet traffic here in Europe, so people stay at home and watch streams like this. So I guess so. So I have Hugo installed. And how do I get started with Hugo? Well, there's a command that you can run. If I can remember, what is the command? Hugo init or Hugo? Well, let me go back to the getting started page. Yes, Hugo new site quick start. So let's create a new website with Hugo. So Hugo new site, and let's give it a name. Or let's say Amplify site, right? So Hugo basically created a directory here called Amplify site. As you can see, the stream site I've tried before, that works. So it basically creates a directory called Amplify site. If I go to Amplify site, you see a bunch of files. Now it's missing, like it doesn't have any themes installed. So first things you need to do is you need to create a theme. Actually, a person in my other chat, Ian, has a theme created by himself, so that's pretty cool. So it's Hugo Journal Tailwind. So very good. I have not tried that one yet, but definitely will check it out. So we need to install a theme. So the simplest way to do it is to actually add a Git submodule. Basically, import a different repo which contains a stream to your current repo. So I am gonna just create a Git repository here called git init. So just make sure to initialize this Git repository, and then I'm just gonna add this example. So I'm using Git submodule here to add a directory as a submodule to my Git repository, right? So it's gonna clone that thing into my themes and ANNK directory. So if I would do themes, I should be able to see that this ANNK or ANNK theme exists. So basically now what I have to do, I need to make sure that I'm going to be using that theme. So there's this nice config file here that I'm going to just do theme equal ANNK, right? I'm just telling it which theme to use. Now there's a couple of things we're going to have to change here. So I'm going to change my title to, what should we call our website? This is the biggest problem to do, right? What's the name of our website? Commodore 64, right? There you go. creative. So I've given my, in this config file, by the way, this is where you do a lot of your website configuration when it comes to Hugo. So you do things, you know, set pairs URLs, set languages, set titles, set themes. Also, some theme-specific settings go here as well. So some themes have very specific configuration items that you can set up here, and this is where you do them. I'm definitely not going to go through all of them. There's an extensive list what settings you can use, and also those settings change dependent on what kind of a theme you're using. So let's leave it just as that, right? So let's exit. Now I need to also create a new, because this is a blog post, I have to create a new post, right? Well, let's create the first post. So we can again use the Hugo new, and there's this basically posts. I'll create the hello stream post, right? So this command will basically just create the hello stream, or it will create a file or a post called hello stream, right? Do that. It creates a file within my my content directory under posts. It creates a Markdown file. So if I would edit that thing, content posts hello stream, we can see that it's a super simple Markdown file where it's a text file in essence that has just the title, the date of creation, and the draft flag. So in this case, we are specifying, hey, this current post is in draft. But let's add something. Let's add a big old header and saying hello world. And shall we add a hello world application? Yeah. What's the first hello world you have ever written? Well, it's easy to guess mine, right? So I did the thing up there, right? So it would be print hello world and 20 go to 10. There you go. Lucas says he did it in C. Ooh, C. That was a. I can't remember. Can I remember C? How do you do it in C? Wait. So it would have to be void main like that. Then you do it that, and then print f hello world. Is that in C? I think so. Yeah. Int main. Int main. Okay. Yeah, printf. Of course, you have to include stdio. Yes. Include stdio h. Yes. Actually, the C was my first programming language in school, so this is something we learned in high school. So, but yeah, int main. That's really okay. All right, cool. Is it int main or main? Just main, right? Yeah. Printf hello world. Awesome. So we have added some content. So we're actually added some code content to here, but let's do some more. Hello world and welcome to my first post. Of course, you have to use these things. Okay. Awesome. We have created our first post. So this doesn't look like a website, right? This how would you present this in a browser, right? This is not even HTML. Well, this is what Hugo does for you. Hugo takes what you did here, and thanks to the syntax present in Markdown, such as this being like H1, right? The big old files. This is just being a normal paragraph. Specifying code blocks and specifying a code block with a specific language syntax, right? Hugo will convert all of this Markdown into a proper website. So if I do Hugo server D, yeah. So Hugo server D will run Hugo locally on my machine, right? So if you would go here and do localhost, and it's 1313, and you can see my website called Commodore 64, my post called Hello Stream, and if I open it, you can see how it looks, right? It has actually converted all of that other file. Actually, I can show it like this. All of this, it has converted into proper HTML such as this. So pretty cool. Again, this is not going to be an extensive how-to on Hugo. It's just a really cool tool to use if you want to make a quick and dirty blog. So one of my first blogs when I configured it was a few years back, and it was WordPress, right? So WordPress is this very powerful CMS or content management system or a blogging platform. But you need to set up actual servers, databases, etc., etc. So it does require a lot of more effort and a lot more things to run on. It can cost money. It requires some operations, so you need to kind of manage it as you go along. So it's cool, but there's better ways to do it. So we can use Hugo to create our static website, right? So how do we go about it? What's the first thing we should do right now? So we have our website running locally, but that's just not what we want, right? So how about we actually find a way to host this website online? So what I can do is I can do Hugo, I believe it's generate, Hugo generate help, is that? Or Hugo, what is the command for generate? Hugo. So Hugo, is it generate? Yeah, so yeah, gen, sorry. No. Is it? Yeah, so there's a way basically to generate, I think it's gen, to generate static. Oh, you can just run Hugo. Okay, yeah, just run the Hugo command. It will generate static content, right? So if I just do Hugo, it will create the thing. If you go to static or static, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Hugo doesn't do that. Hugo, only Hugo. It didn't generate anything because my post was in draft. But let's create more posts, right? Let's do one more thing. Let's Hugo new post, and let's call it test posts, right? Super creative. This is draft. I'll leave this as draft. This is just a test post, and I love me some code in Markdown. I'll do this. Name. JSON, come on, Berlin. Okay. I've added some. That's not the key. Okay, cool. I've created this. Now, if I would run Hugo here again, right? It will not create anything, right? So if I do static, there's nothing here. But if I edit my file here and move this draft to the draft flag to false and run Hugo again, now it will actually generate things. It doesn't. It should. URL, page URL. I need to figure this out. So there's a thing here. If we go to quick start, it should actually tell us. Hugo-D. There you go. Hugo-D. So if I would go to LL static, right? It doesn't still do it. Public LL. There you go. It's in the public directory, not the static one. There we go. So it has generated my website here with index and all the posts and etc. etc. So public and posts. Yeah, we should be able to see it all there. Now we can actually basically just copy this thing right now, take the static part of basically the public directory here and move it to S3, and that works, right? That's just it's simple as that. We would be able to get our static website up and running. But let's use something else. Let's use Amplify console, right? And I really want to stress that Amplify console is this really super neat part of Amplify. So again, when I was first researching Amplify, or when I first thought of Amplify, I just focused on this, right? The Amplify framework, which basically helps you develop, or it gives you a CLI to help you develop and do all kinds of things with web applications. But the Amplify console, this little thing right here, that little thing helps you basically take your content and push it to an S3 bucket in essence, right? So it hosts your content on AWS, and it has all the bells and whistles you'll need, and you will see those things. And I got super excited about it. For example, when I do workshops, when I go on some I used to go on some let's say lofts or dev days or events, summits, conferences, whatever, and I do a workshop. Usually what I need for my workshop is a static website, like a website with instructions on how people do what. So by using Hugo and by using Amplify console, it gives me such a great way to do all of these things, and you'll see how. But before I start, it mentions I need a Git repository. So let me go to my GitHub page. Let me create a new repository. So I'll call it Commodore 64 site. I'll make it public. I will not initialize it with anything. I'll just do that. Cool. So one of the things I need to do here is I need to do that. I'm going to go to my Amplify site directory. So this is my site directory, the one that I created with Hugo. I'm just going to paste this. Basically what I'm doing here is I'm adding my GitHub repository, which I've created right now. I'm adding it as basically as an origin to an existing Git repository locally. So once I've done that, I just need to git add everything, git commit init, and gg push, or git push origin master. Move myself just a bit more. There you go. So I don't cover the little clock down there. Cool. So we have created this right now, and if I would refresh this, you would be able to see all of my files here. And if you want to have access to this, go ahead. It's there. So we have created our repository here. Now we need to do something with it. So our code is now in a code repository. Once we make changes to it, we can make commits, push the changes to branches, etc., etc. So if we go back to Amplify and go to deploy, one of the things we can do is just click the Get Started button. And to get started with an Amplify console, you can, first of all, you need to choose your existing code, right? So there's, you can do something from scratch. You can do it all through CLI. You can select some full stack samples. There's a whole bunch of samples. And I actually, on some event I went to, I basically deployed a full stack sample of a chat application with all the back end and front end built through Amplify. But that's not something we're going to be looking at. I'm going to select GitHub in this case. Maybe I should have chosen code commit, but yeah, I have my own GitHub repositories. So click continue. So my account is authorized with GitHub. So basically, if you're not, it's going to ask you here to authorize the AWS Amplify console in this region with your GitHub page. That's all you need. It's just basically need to be logged in on the same browser with GitHub and give AWS Amplify console permission to GitHub. So what it does, it basically gives you access to all of your different repositories you have. So I'm picking a Commodore 64 site, right? I'm gonna select my master branch. So that's the only branch I have right now, but I'm gonna pick it here, right? If I had more, I could choose the other ones as well. Click the next button. So here's what's smart about it. I'm gonna go through this and I'm gonna explain all of the elements, what's happening. So it automatically detected that this is a Hugo site. So I don't have to do anything here, right? I can completely ignore anything that says here. Click next and save and deploy. Now, if you ever wanted to have a serverless website, right? Or a serverless blog, this is how you do it. That's it. So I have right now created it's 2020, right? Everybody talks about serverless. I have right now created a serverless website running through the Amplify console. So what is happening right now? I've connected my Amplify console to my GitHub repository. So it is actually pulled the code, right? So it is, well, first of all, it has provisioned some things, right? An environment and Docker. Well, it's a provisioned a build environment, right? So in this case, it has basically, it uses code build in the backend, I guess, to kind of run these things. So what it does, it clones my repository right now. So it clones my GitHub repository. I don't have anything potentially. No, it's not showing anything potentially sensitive. So I have it's cloning my Git repository right now, and thanks to that Hugo JSON file you've seen there, it actually is running Hugo. That's it. It's executing the Hugo command. It's generating static websites, right? It's generating the static content, and it's deploying. Well, it has deployed right now. So what it does, it deploys it to an S3 bucket. So it creates an S3 bucket with static website hosting, and it deploys the code there, right? And last but not least, it verifies. It just makes sure that it's running, and kind of it uses something like a headless Chrome app to kind of show you how it runs in different resolutions. But to show the big thing here, I can just run this link, and I have my website running on it. There we go. Hello stream. Oh, aha. There's a problem here. If I click read more, example.com. I've made a boo-boo, right? I made a mistake. So it goes to example.com. So if I click here, it says example.org. If I click here, it should go example.org. So I've made a mistake at my website. So how do I fix that? Well, simple as that. I go here and edit the TOML file for the base URL. Let's see. Just change this into a backslash. This should work, right? Git add, and then just a TOML file. Git commit, fix it, the base URL, git push. There we go. I've made this change right now, and this change will be automatically picked up by Amplify, right? So by the Amplify console. So it will detect a commit inside of my GitHub repo, and it's going to go through the same thing again. So if I go here, you can see that it has kicked off provisioning again. So let me just move my face again. It has kicked off provisioning. It's going to provision a build environment. I'm going to build my application. So it's going to clone my repo. It's going to run the Hugo command, and it's going to basically generate my static files, and then it's going to deploy all of that to an S3 bucket. So, but if I go here, like if I have a look here on my general things, so let me get my face back here. Build settings, right? So this is the thing that was generated automatically, right? So it has detected that this is running Hugo. So the only command that I need to run is Hugo. If you would use some other framework like I don't know, I believe I once used Nuxt.js. It's kind of also a similar platform to create websites, right? Nuxt.js, it generates static content. It can generate static content. You can use specific Nuxt.js commands here to do all of that, right? No matter what you do, even if you are running something completely proprietary to your own use case. So if you have a shell script that generates HTML, you can just execute that shell script here to, well, generate some HTML and put it in a directory, and then copy those files or take those files as artifacts. Yes, Nuxt.js, Ian says, yeah. I actually have a friend who well, he has a company that, well, does web development, and they do a lot of things with Nuxt.js, and a lot of the time they use Amplify console as the platform to host Nuxt.js websites. So pretty cool. And Gatsby, yes, there's a great example with Gatsby as well. I don't know, Hugo was always kind of the first thing I tried, and I really do enjoy using Hugo as well. So, but going back to this one, so what we can see here now that it has been provisioned. That's very cool. And if we go to this thing, open it up again, hopefully now the base URL has been fixed. If I click hello stream, yeah, so we can see that our stream works, right? So it shows our hello world application. This is our code. That's all fine. We're missing our test post because our test post is in draft. So if I would remove that draft tag or set it to false, it would show up. But if I do Hugo server -d and then 1313, no, that should be fine. If I do localhost 1313, it will actually show me both, because that D flag is the development flag, and I can basically just see that test post as well. So this is all running locally. If I want to show that in production, I would want to do, well, move the draft flag to something else. But let's do something. Let's be a bit more creative here. So Rafael asks me, is this running over Lambda? So Rafael, no, it's actually just running S3, right? It's running on S3. So technically, what is happening right now is Amplify console is deploying your piece of code to an S3 bucket, and I believe that we can actually see that S3 bucket if I would go here and do I have it here? See, that's an interesting thing. Does it actually run it inside of your Amplify console? Let's have a look. No, it actually runs it in some mystical bucket somewhere, right? It's not running it inside of my AWS account, so it runs it somewhere else, right? But it's running it's based on S3. So it's a deployment platform with a lot of bells and whistles around it, and I'll show those bells and whistles as we go along. So, and one of those bells and whistles I want to show is, so let's say you're a developer, right? So you are a developer of this website and you want to make a change, right? So you've seen me make that draft post, but you don't want to have that draft post being available to everybody. So the thing you can do, you can run the Hugo server locally, right? And just, go to localhost. But that's, sometimes it's great if you're doing it yourself, but if there's a bunch of you, sometimes you want to make sure that this is available to a wider audience. So how do you do that? Well, first of all, what do you do when you do development? You make branches, right? So let's create a new branch. Let's make a new feature to our application, or let's create a new post with a new branch. So git checkout -b, and let's call this a branch called testing, right? So this is a branch that is just for testing. So I have switched to a new Git branch. One of the things I'm going to edit, I'm going to go edit to content. Don't bang my laptop, please. Is my sound? Oh, I have my sound enabled. Content, posts, and then the test post. And I'm from the test branch. Okay, cool. I made some changes here, and I'm gonna save like that. Git add, again, add this file, git commit, something else, testing, the branch, and git push. So gg push, or actually git push origin testing, right? So there you go. Okay, so what we have now, what we have done right now, we have created a new branch in my Git repository. So if I would refresh this, well, actually you can see it here, right? You can see that the testing branch was created less than a minute ago. And the testing branch has a different, different commits, has different data on it. It does not affect my production environment because my production Amplify thing here is running off of my master branch, right? So, but there's something we can do here. We can actually connect a different branch, right? So if I go to connect branch, the same thing, I'm going to connect the testing branch. Click next, save and deploy. But I want to do something here. So it is doing something here, build settings. Right. I just want to make sure I do something here. Go to the testing. So I'll leave it in the testing. I just want to make sure I just do here. Go to Vim, content, post and then test post and remove the draft. Like that. Git add again. Git commit remove. All right. So I've made another push. So what happens here is now we have basically connected our separate branch to Amplify console. So what Amplify console does right now, it creates another instance of this website or our application that is just the testing one, right? So it has the testing prefix to it, right? While the other one has the master prefix to its URL. So any commits made to the testing branch will be automatically deployed to the testing branch, right? So it will not impact our master branch, but only the changes will be reflected within the testing branch, which is pretty cool because at the end we get a completely separate URL. Everything else we can test our commits, our different code, right? So pretty neat. But let's wait for this to build up. It goes through all the same things as well, right? The one thing I'm actually wondering, is it possible to change the build app specification? Ah, yes, we can. So one of the things you can also do is you can create the amplify.yml file and put it within your application root directory. So if I would do something like this, right? Let me just go here. Can I? Oh, what would be the best way? Let me just do this and then copy all of that and amplify YML like that and paste it in. And I want to change my Hugo build preferences for my development version of my site to include the -d flag, which in essence means that it will also show the draft version of my post. So if I would create a new post, Hugo, like that, and let's call it draft post, right? I'll leave it as draft and I'll give it, so this is a draft post. Lorem ipsum, right? Let's see, and that's all the things I know. Git add now what this should do, I hope, is it should give separate build instructions to my testing branch. So my testing branch now should basically build with the -d flag. Let's see if that happens. So it's provisioning all of those things. Let's see. Let's wait for the build. But in essence, now the build branch, the testing branch should take from the last commit, which includes my Amplify YML file. It should also build it in a different way. So this gives us the flexibility to work with different types of builds, right? Or different flags when we want to do some development things, right? Okay, so we're checking out the different branch. Hello, Leonardo. We have one more person on YouTube. This is the first time I have more people on YouTube than on Twitch. So there you go. Well, almost more people on YouTube than on Twitch. Let's see. Okay, so the build has happened, right? So it's running command Hugo -d. So it has picked up the change we have made within the Amplify YML file, which is great. And it should now, once it's done, we should now be able to access the testing URL once the verification goes through. Awesome. So now if I go to the testing URL, I should also be able to see the draft post, right? So this post should not be visible because it's set to draft, and the test post is not set to draft, but it's just a test post. And all of these differ than our master or our production application. So it's pretty cool, right? I really think it's a really neat way to do these things. Okay, one more thing. One of the other bells and whistles this thing has, when we have Mike Sec asked me, where are you from? Hello, hi. Mike Sec, I'm actually from Serbia. So currently I'm based in Berlin, but I originally come from Serbia, right? There we go. So, so one of the things we want on a testing environment is, Buddhas, unlucky Buddhas. Yeah, I know. So keep the chat in English, absolutely, right? Don't switch. So one of the things we want to do in testing, because in this case, anybody can access our testing URL, which is good, but it's not always good. One of the things we can do is, what if we could add a password to a specific branch? Wow, there's a password protect your website thing on Amplify. This is a really cool thing, right? So if I do go manage access, one of the things I can do for testing, I can say password required. And let's give it a super strong password, dark. I'll give myself username Darko, and the password will be Darko123, right? Because that is just super secure. So, all right, that, and save. So right now, what has happened is on my testing site, on my testing platform, I've actually added a password to my website, so I wouldn't need to add a username and password to access the testing branch. So Mike asked me, are you doing web dev for a living? Or, I actually work for Amazon Web Services, so I'm a developer advocate for Amazon Web Services, and my job is to talk to developers like yourselves or help teach people different aspects of the cloud and AWS. So basically my job is to talk to you and get your feedback on the specific AWS services. So if you have questions, concerns, problems with some AWS stuff, feel free to forward them my way, and I could be your funnel towards the rest of AWS if you have some feedback. So there you go. Clicked on my testing website. Username Darko, right? Password Darko123. And yeah, there we go. Testing works. I have added a password. Mike, holy shit, dream salary right there. I can't complain. So there we go. So we have basically deployed now a testing branch with a password from a single Git repository. Pretty cool. There's one more thing I want to mention. So when doing web development, any development, how does one make changes to production? What do you need to do to make a change to a production environment, right? Mike, I'm trying to become a web developer front-end, later on back-end as well. So test out Amplify. Amplify can help you with the back-end part, because Amplify can help you basically provision things in the back-end from a more front-end perspective. Currently mastering HTML and CSS. Good luck. You will never master CSS, because CSS is just the spawn of Satan. Nothing works in CSS, but yeah, I know the feeling. That's how I started as well. So when you do proper web development, you do something called pull requests, right? So yeah, CSS is pain. There's this wonderful GIF of Peter Griffin with he's trying to pull the guy from Family Guy, trying to pull the Venetian blinds, and just nothing works, and that's how CSS works. You just try a bunch of things, it just maybe works sometimes, right? Yeah, so properly how you do this thing. So what do you do when you want to make a change to production from a testing branch? You make pull requests, right? Something called a pull request. So I've made some changes to my application here, and I want to, let's say I want to create a new branch. Let's check out a new branch. So git checkout, new branch, and called it feature. New post, right? Super great thing, right? So I'm gonna remove the Amplify git rm amplify this thing, and I'm gonna edit content posts, and I'm gonna do the test posts, delete, make sure the draft is okay. This is the test post from pull requests, right? Somebody asked me what I do. Developer advocate at AWS. There you go. Let's add some of that. So git add all, git commit testing, pull requests. So I've added a new branch, I've made some changes, and I'm super happy how it works. Let's say I've tested it locally, this all works, right? So this should basically run. One of the things you can do here on Amplify console, you can actually make pull request previews. So when you get a pull request like this, so I created a new branch, right? So if I refresh this, and there should be like a new branch here that is, have I not committed my new branch? Feature new post. Why don't I have different branches? 2 branches? No. What? Has this not showed up yet? So basically, I'm waiting for that new branch to show up here, but for some reason it's not showing up here. I have a testing branch and a master branch. Interesting. It's the Git things, right? But okay, we're fine with that. We can do git check. Goodbye, Mike. See ya. Check out testing, right? Okay. I'm gonna switch to this branch right now. So one of the things we can do here on Amplify console, we can enable pull requests. So if I enable previews, it first of all needs to install a GitHub app. So it has already installed a GitHub app to my repository, right? To my application, to my GitHub account. But you will need to allow this little app access to GitHub, and you'll see why. So if I can add the preview for merges into master branches, right? So if I do here, I'll make a pull request preview for my master branch. So what does this mean? So this means that if I go to GitHub and I say, yep, there has been a commit here, and I want to compare and make a pull request. So I'm just saying this is for the stream, right? And I'll create a pull request. So pull request is basically the request to merge a specific branch to another branch, right? So what happens right now, if you can see here, the Amplify console web preview is actually creating something. So going back here to the preview side, right? If we go to preview, we can see that there is a preview in progress, or there's a pull request 1 in progress. So what this will do, it's gonna build your application, it's gonna provision it and deploy it just to verify, can it deploy, right? And if this pull request works, you will get a little notification here saying, yeah, this pull request works now, this is all fine, there was no conflicts, it worked, right? It's successful, and especially that works if you have some tests created. In this case, I have not configured any tests for my application because it's a simple Hugo application, but in general, this is how you would make a test, and this entire thing, well, should go through all of those things, right? So let me just refresh this. It's currently deploying and verifying, so it's in the deploy phase, so it still needs to verify. Once that is done, you'll see my little yellow pixel on the GitHub page here. This should change into complete if it's successful. Okay, the pull request was successful, and actually can go here. On the enable pull request, I can see the preview URL saying, yep, that seems like it's okay. I believe you can also see it here, show all checks. Does it show the URL here? No. So you need to see that URL from the web console, but you can see that it has been successful, right? And now if I just go back to here and to my pull request, I can see that this pull request was successful. I can just say merge. What? Ship it, right? How do you call it? Ship it. Confirm merge. So now again, same as before, once we have merged this pull request, going back to my website, you will see that this master branch will kick off the provisioning, the building, and all of that stuff. So the testing, the thing that we have the testing branch we have merged is going to be, well, pushed to production. Okay. So while this is happening, I want to show you a few more things. And this is the last part. We're also almost up to the hour from the stream, so that's pretty cool. But if you go, one of the things you can do, you can add a custom domain to your Amplify site. So if nothing of this is wow for you, if nothing of this is really cool or simple or intuitive, if it all is just meh, that's fine. But the ability to add a HTTPS or a SSL, a free SSL or HTTPS endpoint to your app from here is just what takes the cake for me, right? So I click the add domain. I have a few domains already here, but like I can choose this one, click configure domain and call it like this, stream. I'll exclude my root and click save. What this will now is it will create an SSL certificate for me. It will provision SSL, configure SSL, verify it, and activate my domain. Basically, what I will have https:/stream.rup12.net, and that's it. It has my application, my Hugo website, running behind, well, SSL and all of those things, right? So if I go here again, I will able to see my draft post here. Because I built it with the old one, yeah, I have the Amplify build thing here as well. So yes, but basically we have merged the previous change in here as well. And yeah, this other thing, the certificate, it takes a while. So the verification, the domain activation, it takes a moment or so, but basically you will have this URL to serve your website through. So again, it's pretty cool. People ask me, what is the cost of console? There is a pricing model, right? So Amplify console pricing, right? It is actually based on the amount you store, right? There's also some free tier, absolutely. Basically for the first 12 months you have the free tier, but we charge per build minute. So the longer your application takes to build and deploy, this is how much we charge. So 1 cent per build minute, and also 0.023 cents per gigabyte stored per month, or 15 cents per gigabyte served. So yeah, so having multiple sites per project and SSL, it's free. So pretty cool, right? For example, here, a web app that has 10,000 active users and is updated 2 times a month costs $65.98 a month. To be fair, that's pretty cheap when it comes to hosting a fully blown web application with zero effort to maintain it, right? So the thing here is everything in behind, you don't have to worry about it at all. Okay, cool. I think I'm not gonna wait for this to think because it takes a couple of minutes, right? DNS, all those things, right? It's always DNS. So I would like to thank you for joining, and I have my next stream coming up this Thursday, and I believe the topic will be how to set up your workstation, how to set up your laptop, and everything you do to properly work with AWS. So this is for people who, operate on AWS, who do some maybe DevOps things. How do you set up your code editors? What tools you might need? Some browser plugins. So the things I have and things I use to run AWS, because a lot of people have asked me, so what's this tool you're using? What is that tool you're using? So for successful usage of AWS and some kind of tools to help you along the way, I will be showing those things this coming Thursday. So what is that date? Thursday should be, which date is that? Thursday, the 9th of April. I will be showing all of that. And yeah, at the same time, so 6 p.m. CET, if you want to join. Yeah. Thank you, Ian. Thank you very much. I hope to see you all soon. Again, the stream is shown on YouTube, on Twitch, and I believe also Periscope. So feel free to follow me on any of those things. Once again, thank you very much for being part of this. And I hope to see you, well, in 2 days. Thank you. Bye-bye.